welcome to the 5th episode of the Influential Wellnesspreneur podcast. Today with Adam Guthrie, the plant-based chef. My name is Sebastian Hilbert and I'm the Wellnesspreneur expert. I have therapists and wellness business owners to understand what's possible online and make it work so they can grow their wellness business. But let me tell you a little bit about Adam. Adam is a qualified chef and wellness coach, and he has changed literally thousands of lives with his I Feel Good diet program, cooking classes, and also a really successful app he launched, which is about planning your food for the week. And it achieved 30,000 downloads on average per month in the first couple of years. So that alone is an exceptional achievement. And he also built and sold a successful real estate business. So he's truly entrepreneurial. But for himself, the biggest achievement that he acquired was actually reversing heart disease and coming to the point where he had didn't need to take any medication, and from there finished an Ironman triathlon. So he's a true role model for me, and I'm super happy to have him here today. Adam, hi, how are you?
I'm well, Sebastian, and you?
Very well, thank you.
That's good.
I hope I introduced you well enough, but there's lots of other things you did as well. But I think the most interesting thing is to understand why you got into this. Like, what's your story behind all these incredible things?
Well, my story behind ifeelgood.com.au, which is a program that teaches people how to eat and live in a way that helps them lose weight, gain energy, and feel good, and even reverse disease like heart disease and diabetes and arthritis and autoimmune diseases. How that came about was when I was 39 years old. I was overweight. I was 110 kilos, and I was in a bit of a rut. I was quite depressed. I'd, been quite successful. And something happens when you build something that's really interesting to you, that you've been focused on for years, and you've been working at it nonstop. And then finally you achieve that. Once you achieve it and you're there, and it becomes this feeling, this overwhelming feeling of going, well, is this all there is? Did I just spend 15 years going after this to build this thing? And then all of a sudden, it was really exciting while you did it, but all of a sudden it was just, not fulfilling anymore. And that happens to quite a lot of people when they chase something. Happens to sports people. They hit that Olympic gold medal and they fall into a slump because, it manifested, and then there's no vision after that. So I had hit that, and as a result of that, I found myself 110 kilos, 30 kilos overweight, and not feeling good and depressed. And as a result, I had a heart attack, and it was in the surf one day, and and it shocked me. It really shocked me. Here I am at 39, and what was interesting, I'd been vegetarian since I was 21. And, when I was in the hospital, I couldn't believe when they told me I had this heart attack, and I went and I said I couldn't have had a heart attack. Like, I'm vegetarian. They're meant to be the lowest risk of having a heart attack. And they said, well, sorry, Adam, but you've had one. And I just couldn't comprehend it. So it was quite nerve-wracking and scary, and I didn't know what to do about it. And I got out of hospital. They gave me 5 medications. I brought them home with me, and I took them religiously for a whole month. And after a month, you've got to go see your cardiologist. And I went and saw him, and I said, look, Doc, I'm not feeling too good, and I think it's because of the medications. And I'm feeling really flat. I've lost my mojo. I'm an enthusiastic guy, and I've got no more enthusiasm left. And he said, well, look, yeah, the medications do have that sort of a side effect. It is side effects, but I've got to let you know, you got to get used to it because you're going to be on these for the rest of your life. And I went, I don't think so. I don't want to feel like this for the rest of my life. There's no way. And I said, can't we just reduce the medications a little bit because my cholesterol wasn't too high when I had the heart attack. And he said, no, maybe in the future we can do it, but for now, this is your lot in life. So I left there, and I'm sort of guy that if someone tells me I can't do something, it's like, I'm going to prove you wrong. So I come home, and while I was in that month, I was sitting on the couch recovering from this heart attack, and I'm reading the book, The China Study. So as I'm driving home, I'm thinking, maybe, what I ate caused this heart attack. Maybe if I eat differently, I could actually reverse it. So I came home and I Googled how to reverse heart disease with food. And all these doctors came up, Dr. Cordell Esselstyn, Dr. John McDougall, Michael Clapper, a whole heap of them, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, and they were all talking about how they had been treating patients for like 30 years on a whole food, plant-based diet and having great success with reversing heart disease and diabetes and these other issues. So I thought, wow, I'm a chef. I can actually do that. So I did. I started eating this way. I created little meal plans for myself. And that's how the meal plan app started. I started to make meals for myself. And I thought maybe others would do this. And it was right at the time when apps were starting to become popular, 5, 6, 7 years ago now, I think. So we're really lucky we got in the early days. And Apple loved us. We haven't spent a cent on marketing for that app. And, we ranked number 1. We actually had more downloads than Jamie Oliver and Donna Hay magazines in the early days. It's not the case now, but in the early days we did.
Can I interrupt you there, Adam? What was your angle when you put it out there of the app? Like
It's just weeknight meal plans, vegan. There's just vegan weeknight meal plans to help people, make it easy for people to cook this way during the night, Monday to Friday. And the app well, it still does. It's still there. We produce it every week. But it has 5 beautiful recipes. It has a beautiful image of the recipe. We photograph every recipe. We actually make a little 2-minute video showing you how to make the recipe step by step. And so, it's really interesting. I get these emails from mothers and wives saying, my husband never cooked until we got your app. And they just put the iPad on the counter and they press play and then pause and do the step. And they press play again and pause and do the next step.
Yeah,
and now we get this, makes it really easy for people. But we also wanted to make it super easy, as easy as possible. So we gave people a shopping list. So you go buy the ingredients for the week. And you also, what else did we give them? We gave them a prep list as well. So you could do over the weekend, you could do a little bit of prep that makes it easy to get those dishes onto the table super fast. So if you're a busy mom or working and you don't have time when you come home, you can get these meals on the table like within 15 minutes to half an hour max. But most of them, if you do the prep, 15, 20 minutes, they're on the table.
So it's a bit like...
Sorry?
This is a bit like what HelloFresh does now in Australia, right? With their food and making it really easy and achievable for anyone to make good food.
Yeah, and they actually bring the groceries to you. We don't. You have to go buy them yourself. But that's exactly a similar sort of process. And then we feature a plant-based doctor or expert in the issue. And, it does really well. I think we're ranked number 4 now for the word vegan. And we were number 1. But there's a lot more competition now than there was in the early days. But, in the early days, it was about 30,000 downloads, and now we're getting about 6,000 downloads. So it's shifted a little bit, but it's still a really good little thing that helps people easily eat this way. So that's how I started. That's how I started to do that. And I started eating that food. And as a result of that, within 6 months, I'm off all medications. It's now 7 years later, and I still haven't had to take medications. It took about a year and a bit to lose the 30 kilos. And my wife bought me a push bike somewhere in that year after the heart attack. And I started riding with the local bike shop in our town, our village, I'm in Berry on the south coast of New South Wales. On Saturdays, they used to have a morning ride. And I did that morning ride, and we'd have a coffee afterwards. Anyway, there's a bunch of guys there, and one guy said, "Oh, Adam, we're training for an Ironman, and we're going to go swim on Monday morning. Do you want to come and swim with us?" I said, "Sure, I'd love to come. I haven't swum for years." But when I was young, that was my sport. Every morning before school, it was 2 hours in the pool, and I'd walk up to school and fall asleep in class every day because we'd swum so many laps. But that was my sport. I thought, yeah, I'd love to do that. I haven't swum for years, so did. And anyway, he drove me home. And at this stage, I didn't know he was a GP, a doctor. And as we're driving home, we started this conversation, and he didn't know I'd had a heart attack. And then he goes, "What? You've had a heart attack? You're kidding." I said, "No, I had a heart attack, and I've got off all medications," and told him what I'd been eating. He goes, "Wow." And then, he tells me he's a doctor. And he goes, "It would be super cool to take you from heart attack to Ironman." He used the medical terms, myocardial infarction, to Ironman. I went, man, that would be so cool. And I've always dreamt of doing one, even when I was a kid, but I never thought I could be fit enough to do that. That's insane. For those that don't know what an Ironman is, it's 3.8 kilometre swim, followed directly by a 180 kilometre bike ride, and then run a marathon, 42 kilometres, and you have 17 hours to do it in. Like, it's insane. Mm-hmm. And the pros do it in about 8 hours. Fit guys do it 10 to 12 hours and 13 minutes or something, which is incredible in my mind that I actually even did it. But and I wasn't expecting, if I did it under 17 hours, I was happy. That was my only goal. Because if you don't do it under 17 hours, you're not an Ironman. So I've got the title Ironman now. So he said, "Yeah, let's do it." I said, "Okay, I'm in, let's do it." So he trained me. He said, "I'll train you. I've done 8 Ironman triathlons, and I'll get you there." It took us 2 years and crossed the finish line. So this is an amazing, powerful way to eat. And, last year last 3 years we moved to Bali. Our kids went to the Green School, which is an entrepreneurial school. And it's all made out of bamboo. It's all about sustainability. And it's all based on learning by doing. And it's an incredible place. It's what they do, they teach kids sustainability, but from an entrepreneurial point of view, because the founder of that school realised that unless business comes into sustainability, no one's going to create the products into the future because it won't be viable. So it's got to be viable through entrepreneurship. So they teach kids entrepreneurship, and it was an amazing experience being there for 3 years. But while we're there, I started to realise that, people were wanting more than the app. They wanted to actually really learn how to change their habits and make it sustainable eating this way. And so I got thinking about that, and I started playing around with that in my mind. And when we came back to Australia a year and a half ago, it started to really come up, and a lot of people were starting to ask about it and ask me, "How did you do it? What did you do?" So I thought I'd create a program, and that's what we're doing now. It's been running for a year, and it's called the I Feel Good program, and it's a membership for a monthly or yearly membership. And we take people through a 4-week kickstart, fast start program. And then after that, they get the meal plans that keep it sustainable. Plus, I put a cooking school in there because I'm a chef. And what they teach me at chefs, the knife schools, the cooking method. So by the flavour profiling, how to plate food so it looks really good. And by the end of it, you know what a chef cooks. So, but the Kickstart, the 4-week program, that fast start program, the results have been amazing. I get people to go and do their blood test beforehand and after, and it's consistent. Everyone who follows it, and most people do, lose between 2 to 7 kilos. Blood pressure drops, blood sugar levels come down, cholesterol drops, and they all feel amazing. And even skin conditions like psoriasis. One lady had psoriasis for 30 years. It disappeared in 2 weeks, and now it's 4 months later and hasn't come back. And, people have stayed in this program now up to 4, 5, I think we're touching on 6 months, some of them. And some women have lost 20 kilos. Some of them haven't been off the couch for years. And now they're walking an hour every day. And, they're throwing out clothes. I get pictures in the Facebook group. They've got bundles of clothes that they're throwing out and they're buying new clothes, and they just feel amazing. And it's so rewarding to be able to share, for me, to be able to share something that happened to me that I was able to overcome and transform, and share that knowledge and pass it on to others so that they are producing similar results. And actually in 4 weeks, doctors have been, with some people that are on medications, have been actually halving their medications just in 4 weeks.
Amazing. And this is really, I had a look at the program. It looks really incredible. And I think what you have come up there with is really truly amazing, and the result speaks for itself. But let's talk a little bit about what struggles you. You probably have been through with launching a program like that, because I understand the Food Planner app probably was kind of a self-runner, you probably would say, just people you were at the right time, the right place. But with that I Feel Good program, it may not have been quite the same. Can you tell us a little bit, like, were there any difficulties or struggles you had to deal with, and how you overcame them?
So the struggles and difficulties that I overcame in starting the app, or starting the...
Starting a good diet program, getting it out there, trying to get people to do it. Like, what were some things that you did, you think?
The biggest struggle with any business is finding customers. That's the biggest challenge. Now, I'm fortunate that, I've always been in business. My first business was when I was 23 years old. It was a cafe. And I learnt, a bit of marketing. And I've been fortunate because my parents had an agency. So I've always been around a real estate agency, and I've always been around sales and marketing. And I've found human behaviour and communication extremely fascinating. So I've spent a lot of time studying sales and marketing and business procedures and systems, and what actually helps build a brand. And the things that I've always found is at the start, it's always like, how do you, number one, who is your market? And because I've been in 2 different markets now, one is real estate, and one was just, the everyday real estate market. And then I went into a high-end brand, a boutique brand, totally same product. Well, it's houses, but 2 different brands, and they speak differently. So what's the biggest challenge is trying to find out who you're trying to help, and understand what their problems are, and understanding the language that's used. And that takes a little bit of trial and error, and it takes a little bit of research. You can do surveys and ask questions, or ask people what their biggest problems are. And we did that. The other thing is, you can go into Facebook groups and find out just the conversations and forums, what people are having challenges with. And the biggest mistake is going too broad, because you can't talk to everybody. Okay, and so that was my challenge at the start. Is like going too broad. I want to help everyone with this, but then you realise the best thing you can do is actually people that have challenges with what you had challenges with, especially if you're in health and wellness. Because there's nothing better than having someone mentor you or coach you or teach you that actually lives where you want to go, and also has made the transformation, knows the road. Okay, so understanding that, when you understand that, then it becomes easier to find your audience. And then the challenge is, well, okay, I know who the audience is, but where do I go find them? So you need to understand where they are. And some of them hang out on Facebook, some are on Instagram, some still on television and magazines. You just need to then try and work out where they are. And then once you work out where they are, start talking to them there. And the other biggest mistake that I've found is offering people. The first step in a relationship is actually getting people who need to get to know you, who you are, what you're about. And so many people just place up ads all the time, and it's the wrong thing to do. What is the best way to start to build your audience and get people to know who you are? Because people always do business with people that they know and they like and they trust. So the best thing to do is to provide lots of value, recipes, and in my case, it's recipes, and do some talks for free and do bits and pieces, but always offer the product. So the other mistake is that I found in the early days, you can offer everything for free. If you offer everything for free, no one's going to buy your product. And what happens is if you switch from free to a product, then people don't like that. Like they feel like you've sold out or whatever. So it's very important that if you're in business, that people know you're in business and you've always got your product to offer them. But it's, and I have this belief that people will use your product if it's what they need and want. Okay, you never have to hard sell. You just have to offer and be generous and help people. You always got to come from the point of view where you're helping and contributing to someone. If you always come from that perspective, okay, your business will do well. People will want to engage with you. People will want to come and join your programs. People will want to, produce the results that they're looking for. If your product can produce that. So, that's the biggest challenge, is trying to work out who your audience is, how to communicate them, how to give them what they want. Once you've found and discovered that takes a bit of work. It takes time and error and, capital, and it takes a little bit to do that. But once you understand that, then, and you've got a product that really works and really does help people, and the people that do your program and have produced their results are raving fans about what you've done because they've massively changed their life, they're happy to share that information with everybody because they then want to become, help others to experience the same thing. And then once you've got that, you can also use that to communicate to your audience,
Very good. Very good. I think that's some very valuable points there. And also one of what can be the most difficult thing to really understand your market and find this emotional connection point, as we like to say it, with your audience. But once you have that, then you really get momentum in there.
Yeah.
Another thing
that also governs, your marketing campaigns, and your copy on your websites and, your headlines. Your headlines have to be speak to exactly what the benefit to them, what they're going to get. After the result that they will get after they've done your program, used your product or service. That's exactly what everyone's looking for. You need to spell out really clearly what you offer can give them what they're looking for. And if you don't have that straight up, especially online, they're just going to go straight past. But if that speaks to them, they go, "Ooh," they'll take interest and have a little bit further look.
Yeah, very good. And I encourage everyone who's listening today and like to understand, first of all, what Adam exactly means by that. Go on his website, ifeelgood.com.au. Thank you, Adam. and see what he has done there to promote his program and what he has put on his website. And it represents exactly what he just mentioned. And I think that's really, it was one of the first things I realized with you when I looked up the I Feel Good program, how well you've done that. So usually at the end, Adam, I asked our interviewees to give their 3 best advices to grow a wellness business. You basically already gave 2. Do you have a 3rd one for us that we can implement in a wellness business?
Yeah, one of the best things that any business can do to help word of mouth spread, okay? And really the best businesses are based on word of mouth. People, always are interested when somebody raves about something. Now, the biggest mistake that I see people make in business is this. And I'm actually a business coach as well. I had a business coaching agency for 6 years. And I still have business coaching clients now. But one of the biggest mistakes I see most businesses make is that once someone purchases a product or their service or something, they don't realise that when that person is experiencing your product or service or program is when they're really experiencing the benefit of it and your service. Now, a lot of people just, they enroll them into something or they buy something or whatever, and then it's forgotten about and they never see them again. That's it. That's the biggest mistake anyone can make. The best thing that someone can do is make sure that experience, when they're experiencing what you've got, is absolutely amazing and incredible. That the service is so good that they're raving about it. Like they cannot help. And that's one of the things I've always done, through every business that I've had, is make sure that the experience, what people are using your product and service, is incredible. Because that's when they really know whether it's any good. At the start, they don't know, okay? They don't really know. And if they buy it and it's a dud, they're not going to be happy and you'll kill your business because they'll spread bad will. But if you can make sure that once they do make that purchase and enroll with you, that it just gets better and better. Everything's delivered what you said you would, but it's more. And it just gets better and better and better. And they go, this is amazing. And then they're telling everyone and they're producing the results that they want, and things like that. And it just spreads. That's the fastest way to grow your business, is to make sure that when someone is experiencing your product or service, that process is easy and enjoyable and is amazing, and they just want to share it with everybody else.
Yeah, very good. Very good. And I think it's very good to read, and then I want to do this as well, is to really think about what other things can I do to make the experience during the process of experience, my product, service, or whatever it is, better and more amazing. And I totally agree with you. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the things that I do, with what we do is, mine's a coaching program, and I've done a lot of online programs where the coach is never there. You don't have access. You just get access to the material. But, long-term sustainable growth, where the biggest challenge that people have is that, they buy the program, a program, they get all excited, but they don't follow through on it. And, it drops by the wayside. But by having a coach that you can ask questions to every single day is incredible service. And then that helps you get over if you're trying to make a change in anything in wellness, it's the thing that stops most people from making a shift in their wellness is their belief system. It's what they believe about health and food and movement and how they pause. That's the thing that's stopping them, their current beliefs around that. But the best way to shift that is by having a community and having a coach that you can ask a question to help you overcome those belief hurdles and challenges. Or if you fall off the wagon, that they'll support you to get back on, because everyone falls off the wagon. Any change, you start for a couple of days and then you fall off. It's how you get back on the wagon, and keep going. And then the gaps gets longer and longer and longer. But most people beat themselves up and go, I can't do it. Whereas by having a service with what we do, Facebook every day, we have a private Facebook group for our members, and they can ask any question, and I'm in there twice a day, and I answer every single question personally. Nothing gets missed. And then it's just enough to keep someone going, and all of a sudden, a month down the track, 2 months down the track, 3 months down the track, they've made it a habit, and it's life-changing for them. So that's one of the things that we do, I personally do, to make sure it's an amazing experience, is to give my personal attention to the people that we serve, to really help them make the shift, rather than just, here it is, go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I just really love what you just said. It was about how you use social media. And I think many people think of social as the thing of how I get new business. But I think mostly when I hear about people talking about how they use social media, it's really about keeping people accountable, keeping in touch with them, and keeping basically their benefits, their services in front of mind until someone is ready to take the next step or keep them on track. And I think that's what social media is really great for. And
and you're 100% correct, because at any time in any marketplace, there's only 3 or 4% of people that are actually ready to actually purchase what you offer or what somebody else offers. That they actually have done research, they know you and they like you and they trust you, and they're just comparing now which one they're going to go for. Which car they're going to buy, or what house they're going to buy, or what product, or what health or wellness person they're going to work with. But that's only a very small percentage of the market. Where's the 97%? Well, the other 97%, some people are just in the research phase. They know they've got a problem. They're looking at the options. Then the next layer above that is a bit broader, okay? They know they've got a problem, but they're not even on the radar to do anything about it yet. They don't know any options, but they just starting to go, I'm not feeling too good. And then there's others that just have no idea, and then there's others that just aren't interested in what you've got in the marketplace. So the great thing with social media is that, we need to be able to talk to everybody that's even not ready. That's why, I'm a big believer in just being, contributing and being generous, because there's people out there that are just starting and just, maybe a whole food plant-based diet could be a good option for me rather than paleo. They're at that sort of space. And then they get a bit of information, and then maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months down the track, they're going, I'm not feeling too good, or, my doctor's just put me on medications. Okay. Then they're going, I need to look at this further, because they already know you, and they go, that's right. Adam, has helped people do these things, go from heart attacks and reduce the medications and reduce the cholesterol, I'm going to have a closer look at what he's doing. I might email him or message him. And that's, and then they're ready. So, this hard sell that people do and pushing, it's not a good way to do business. You've got to talk to even people that aren't ready. When they are ready, they remember you. So you're 100% correct. Well done.
That is a wonderful point what you just said about selling to finish for today, and say thank you for your incredible story, providing this insight in your incredible story and all this valuable, generous value that you've given today. So thank you very much for having this interview with me today, Adam. And I also say thank you to everyone who listened in. I'm sure this was a great time for everyone. And I encourage everyone to subscribe to the podcast, to join in for next week. And I say goodbye, and thank you for everyone listening in.
See you guys. Thanks, Sebastian.
Thank you.